We are officially back in the crew, and as I said, I wanted to check out some of the mods that have now come out, now that the game is officially offline. And there's already a myriad of mods that I think are super cool, but there's one in particular that stood out that we're gonna check out today, which allows us to actually enter Canada and potentially also Mexico, which have been previously inaccessible in the game. So this mod was made by Gookie, and it basically works in a way where the borders and boundaries of the map that would previously just reset you back to the road whenever you got too far out of the map have basically just been changed altogether. And so as someone who loves to boundary break and explore hidden areas in games that we weren't really meant to explore, I had to check this out. So to my right here, we have Canada. As you can see here, we're at the very northern end of the map. And if we would just drive a little bit further up north, the game would usually reset us. But not anymore. And honestly, I don't expect too much, honestly, since obviously these areas were never really meant to be driven through. But I still wanted to see what it was like, what it feels like, and maybe we could actually spot something. So let's check this out. Okay, so we're driving up north here. And the first thing that I'm really curious to see is how much terrain there actually is. Like, how far up could we potentially drive through the map here? Because honestly, like, you really cannot drive that far in the original game. Like, I think by now the game would have already reset us normally. But now we can keep on driving. The question is just how far, and is there anything of substance that we can find? And also, when does this end? So far, there doesn't really seem to be an end in sight. Like, I would actually assume that, wow, you can actually, there's so much terrain here. You would never see this. Like, I mean, okay, like what I'm also like curious about is what does the edge of the map look like? Because at some point we're gonna get to a point where either there will be no more hitboxes and we will just fall through the terrain, or we will actually get to the end of it. So the first thing I'm already surprised by is that all of this is drivable. So all of this is attached with hitboxes. There's still plenty of trees here that do not need to be here whatsoever. Like, all of these trees are completely, like, they had to be placed by hand, you know, just have to, like, think about that. Maybe there was some kind of, like, algorithm that they used to place trees and bushes. But for the most part, this has to be done by hand. I mean, look at this. Dude, there's so much terrain here. Like, we're now, like, actually fairly deep into Canada. We are actually so far into Canada. I think even the biome changed slightly. Like, we were in a more dry area and things are now getting a little bit more green, a little bit more lush. The trees have been swapped out for pine trees. So there is some change in environment here. And it's surprising how much drivable terrain there really is. It really makes me wonder if maybe the devs didn't intend to have you drive through Canada at least once or twice in a mission. It doesn't really seem too far off that, you know, maybe they just wanted to keep this terrain here and build all of this and make all of it drivable, just on the off chance that maybe the level designers wanted to have a mission or two where they could design a mission that has you collect some stuff in Canada or pursue someone or what have you. Now, obviously, there's no roads here anywhere. Like, there's no roads, no cities, absolutely nothing. But obviously, it doesn't need to be. For a mission, it might be just fine to have some, like, basic off-road terrain here. Maybe it was planned, maybe it wasn't. Obviously, it's kind of hard to tell. But this is, like, not normal. I just want to point this out. This is not normal. The fact that we're still driving. We're still driving up north. That is not normal. So any other racing game that you try to boundary break and go kind of, like, out of bounds, they usually just kind of stop you in various ways. And then you just fall through the map, or there's like a fairly early end to the map, or you just get reset, which is what this game usually does. But no matter the case, you usually get stopped fairly early. Even if you find a way to just kind of like go a little bit further, the game usually just doesn't really have any more terrain available. But we have been driving for like, I don't want to say like a good 5 minutes, but roundabout, it's almost been 5 minutes. And we have not been slowing down all that much either. So if we just look at the map, like, how, like, we're really far. We're actually almost off the map entirely. Like, I can actually not even see my player avatar anymore. This is bizarre to me. This is really bizarre. I've never seen anything like this. Once again, usually out of bounds terrain is fairly limited in any kind of video game. not just racing games. Which is primarily what makes Red Dead Redemption 2 so interesting for me, because there are significant parts of Mexico available, and there's even like tunnels and, you know, like half-built buildings, all that kind of stuff, cities you could kind of like make out. And this, I don't want to say it falls in the same category, but it gives me a similar vibe. Like, you can see there's definitely some stuff built here. Like, all of these hills you see here, all of that has to be done by hand. They could have just made all of this flat or just cut all of that off anyways. It's all still here. Like, this is genuine off-road terrain with trees, with bushes, with hills, ups and downs. Okay, this looks like the end. I think we finally reached it. Yeah, okay. So here it is. This is the edge of the map, and it took us ages to get here. What I find interesting, oh god, don't drive off. What I find interesting is that there's still wildlife. We can actually see the birds spawning in here. We're actually completely off the map, well, at least not entirely off the map. But there is like a box around the US borders here, like you can see around here. There is a box around the entire map. And this actually at least seems to represent the real borders of the map, because we've kind of reached it here. So that's interesting. I never really paid attention to it, but it seems to be the cutoff point for the map here. So at this point, I would actually love to either go further down west or further down east. So in the east, we have a bit more of the, you know, the snowy areas, the mountain states. I mean, as you can see, you can zoom in on the map. There's something that the game does allow you, while you can't drive on this terrain. It does allow you to zoom into it. Maybe that is why they still built all of this, but it still makes me question what the purpose is. Especially considering like how many hills there are here, you know? It doesn't really serve any purpose other than visualizing the map, I suppose. I think what I'll do is I'll go west from here, east from here, and then I'll drop back in from there. Probably fast travel to Seattle, and then just follow this coastline here. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so at this point we want to turn around, and I know some of you probably want me to jump off the cliff here and into the void. We will do that, don't worry. But I'm still just really curious to see how these biomes transition into one another and how massive this will end up feeling, because like, this is a good like 10 to 20% of drivable terrain that is usually inaccessible, that we can only now use, which is so strange. That they just left so much drivable terrain on the table. Like, they could have just put the respawn point, like the point where the game will just respawn you back to the US. They could have put it way further back. Like, even here, you can't really see the map border. So they could have put that point here where the game resets you, but they didn't. They put it really, really early on. It's so strange, you know. Like, I really cannot help but think they had more plans for this, but yeah, obviously I will never talk to any of the developers, and the developers probably don't even know themselves anymore, because it's been like well over a decade since this game was made. But yeah, this is exactly why I love out-of-bounds explorations, and it's something that I honestly would love to do a little bit more in the future. So if that's something you would like to see on this channel, let me know by leaving a like on the video or just dropping a comment, just telling me, hey, do this more often. I love doing this, you know. It just kind of feels like visiting areas you were never meant to see, because, well, you really weren't. It feels almost forbidden in a way, if I may say so. What also surprises me driving through here is that there seem to be no issues present. Like, there's no trees that are floating in midair. There's no strange interactions with the terrain. Like, there's no rough edges. You know, stuff that I don't think anyone would really care about, because you wouldn't really see it, even if you look at all of these places from the map, from up above. It all works. Like, I don't see anything weird here. Like, maybe there's some grass floating there, if you like really look closely. But all of the hills, you know, it all feels genuine. It all feels very, very natural, which I find super bizarre. Like, there clearly is a lot of attention put into pretty much all of this. So it really just makes me wonder what the point of any of this was. In fact, what I notice now is, as we get closer and closer to the snowy areas, is that gradually the terrain gets more hilly. Like, there's more larger hills as we approach the mountains further back. Once again, like, there was clearly a lot of thought put into all of this. It's just for it to be completely inaccessible. Like, I kind of pity all the developers who put all the work into making all of this terrain feel authentic when it's just not accessible in any capacity. Okay, and here is where we reach the snowy area. Yeah, we didn't expect the transition to be super smooth. I think even in the original game, or like on the main map, it's not super smooth. But yeah, you can really see where the snow starts to kick in for the trees. And I think soon after, the terrain should also change. Yeah, okay, so now it's starting to snow. We can see that, yeah, the terrain is gradually changing now. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty much how it works on the main map. It's like maybe a little bit more abrupt. But yeah, this is really, really cool, I gotta say. Like, right now that all of this is accessible, I do wonder if more people will just explore Canada and maybe also Mexico. We're gonna get to that later. And maybe perhaps eventually find something, because the truth is that these areas have not been explored yet. Sure, you could view them from up above, but it doesn't mean everything actually gets rendered in and everything works as intended. So I wouldn't be surprised if people will now start to just explore these areas more and eventually find something interesting. It doesn't even have to be like a blatant Easter egg or anything, or a hidden secret, but just something that makes you go like, huh, that's interesting, that looks weird, you know? Like I said earlier, maybe some terrain that looks a little bit faulty, or trees that float in midair or whatever. But honestly, like, once again, like, all of this feels very natural and normal. Like, none of this feels out of place for the map. I'm actually starting to struggle here, trying to get over the hills, or I guess maybe mountains already at this point. Because, you know, the area is a little bit snowy, so the handling does change somewhat at this point already. So it is actually quite difficult to get over all of this here. But I would say we've seen about everything here now, so let us actually fast travel all the way to Seattle and try to drive around the coast here that we can hopefully access here and see what we can find there. So I'm not actually sure how to get here. I'm gonna drive underneath the highway bridge here. Actually, a surprisingly amount of parked cars. And now we can drive around all of these buildings. So I'm not sure if this is usually still accessible or not. I doubt anyone has ever been here if it is. But yeah, let's just follow the beach here. I think that's a cool idea. We can get a cool view of the city from here already, which is kind of nice. Like, we can see like a tower there. It's already pretty cool as is, honestly. Just getting to see these cities from a different point of view. Okay, we're in the North Pacific Ocean now, according to the game. But once again, I'm not sure if this is usually accessible or not. I would say probably not, because we are technically already outside of the boundaries of what the map would allow. So I would say this area is probably already off limits. Obviously, I don't, I don't remember and haven't ever bothered to check, but we can now see all of these ships from the other side as well. We can see another, dude, there's actually some freighters and I think a yacht over there. I'm not sure if we can even see those from anywhere else. Maybe if you come from the other side, then perhaps there's also a helicopter. Look at that, there's even a small sailboat. And like, we're so far away by now. I mean, once again, like, you could probably see it from here. This is an official road. It's so weird seeing it from the other side. It feels illegal. Okay, now it has disappeared. Okay, maybe those are actually just random spawns then. Cool. The more you know. Oh wow, look at the map. We're actually in we are in a different area. Wait, can I go back? So we're now in default work in progress. No locale. I think locale stands for no localization. Now, maybe this is just an umbrella label that they just slap on every area in the game that, you know, doesn't have an official localization. But alternatively, it could also mean, since, you know, it does say work in progress, that maybe they did want to use Canada for something. Maybe they did want to add something here, even if it's just a mission or two. I think there's definitely something they could have done in terms of story. I think the story would have certainly allowed for it. Once again, like, you couldn't maybe do anything super cool, like driving through any, like, Canadian cities like Vancouver or Montreal. But just some basic raid missions, you know, where you just drive through the wilderness. I think that would have definitely worked. And I gotta say, this area here feels a little bit more uncanny, though. Like, driving through the Canadian forests was fine. This here feels a little bit more uncanny. This is giving me Backrooms vibes here, if I'm gonna be honest. Like, you can tell the beach certainly wasn't really meant to be used at all, but you can see how dense the forest next to us is. What I definitely want to get to is this here. I'm not sure what about this piques my interest so much. There's probably nothing interesting here, but just that little island there. I mean, I guess it's not really an island, but you get what I mean. And that goes without saying, you obviously cannot fast travel through any areas in Canada. You just have to drive there because the game isn't really prepared to fast travel you in any other places other than the US. But we can see more terrain in the distance. I think that right there is where I wanted to get to initially. So we're just gonna have to drive around. This feels so massive. Like, I know I've been saying it all the time. It feels so massive. The area that they just left out completely unused, seemingly just for the sake of appearing on the map, is ridiculous. They really did not need to build any of this. Like, what they could have done, honestly, is just have a bunch of clouds appear here, right? So if you wanted to zoom into these areas, all of it is just kind of hidden by clouds. That would have been perfectly fine. So it's so weird. I really don't buy that all of this terrain was built just to be visible on the map. I really don't buy it. I think they really wanted to have more terrain be accessible here and wanted to at least do something with this. But here's where we actually want to take a left here. This looks definitely a little bit broken here. Like, you have a bunch of trees coming out of the sand and a bunch of bushes. Like, yeah. I think this is the point where we can just kind of tell they were like, no one's gonna reach this area anyways. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of where the forest starts to overlap with the beach. Like, this definitely does not look right here. Okay, and I think we've finally reached the place that I wanted to, which is actually really cool. There's a surprising lack of trees there. I'm not sure if they're just not rendered in because they're too far away. But this gives you a really nice outside view of the forest in Canada on the west coast here, which is super, super interesting. So we could obviously follow the beach a little bit further here. I would like to see how it actually cuts off at the absolute border of the map, but I can already imagine what it looks like. We've already seen it before. So yeah, I think I would leave it there for the west coast of Canada. So with that out of the way, I would now try to find a way into Mexico. And this could be a little bit more difficult, because from what I do remember, there is a massive barrier here. Yeah, that one, as you can see. So I'm not sure if there's any way to get around it, but there might be if I take a look. We are now at the Mexican border, and I think it extends all the way to the water, but maybe the water is shallow enough that it will let us drive around it carefully. No, unfortunately not. Okay, so I did think about that. Damn it. What I would definitely like to check out here, if we can make it through here, is you can see that these roads kind of end up in what seems like a tunnel, but I'm not sure. It might also just be a building. So I would like to definitely check this out from... Actually, maybe we can just fast travel here, because this still counts as a road. We can just fast travel here, because this still counts as a road. Okay, wait a minute. Okay. That was a lot easier than I thought. Okay, but those are not tunnels. Those are just some buildings there. But it's already cool to see this from the other side here. This feels illegal. And I mean, I guess technically it would be. But yeah, we've actually made it on the other side. This feels bizarre, because I remember being here and thinking like, man, I wish I could go over. And now we can. We're here. Okay, but with that, we've officially made it to Mexico. Welcome to Forza Horizon 5. Okay. So it is pretty interesting already how this road seems to just end. I always thought this was some kind of tunnel that would start there, because it is kind of weird how these roads just end, which you can even see on the map. But yeah, so we're now in Mexico, and you can see that the terrain is really different. Now it is definitely still fairly similar to the southern part of the States, but very different to Canada. And once again, all of this has been modeled. There's hills, there's terrain, there's elevation, there's bushes, potentially also trees. It feels surprisingly fleshed out, if you just take away the fact that there's no roads and cities. And here we actually get to see way more of an overview, because obviously there's no forests, no trees to block our view. But we can still see planes, for example, in the sky. They don't just like despawn when you wouldn't really be able to see them anymore. It's really cool. And once again, like, as we saw earlier, it doesn't say it here. Like, we're not in the work in progress area here. But I did say it earlier, which does make me believe that maybe some of these areas were supposed to be used. I know I've said it a bunch of times, but it doesn't say it now, which makes me think maybe this particular part here wasn't supposed to be used for anything. But still, it's modeled all the way through. So this is already kind of interesting to me, and something I keep thinking about. I think you can tell that there might have been a river here at some point. There are some slight signs that indicate that there used to be a river here. If we just like follow the, you know, the basic terrain here and how there's all these like valleys here. I've been watching a lot of videos from the YouTuber Annie Austin, so it kind of made me a little bit more aware and conscious of like, you know, what could have been here in the past. It does show that there was at least some amount of effort put into the terrain here, which is really interesting. I will say this here looks really strange though. Like, this is not actually a rendering issue. Like, we should be close enough that the terrain actually gets rendered in fully. But this looks weird. And this feels like the Farlands in Minecraft in a way. I can see how the texture actually stretches as we get closer. Do you see this? Wait, can we drive through this maybe? No, not really. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. I can't wait for people to explore these areas and find all kinds of weird stuff. This is the weird stuff I was talking about. Surreal. Okay. Especially because it doesn't really look like anything on the map. I think there is a way we can get on top of this here. Oh yeah, what a bizarre sight. This is exactly the kind of stuff I wanted to see. You can just see how the terrain starts to deform as we get closer to it. Oh, wait. I think we found the end of it. Yeah, okay. So we just had to drive all the way around. Alright, there we go. What a weird piece of geometry. Interesting. I mean, you can see it from the map. This is always visible. Like, look at this. It's just a straight line here. On this map, you can see it. This was always visible. This must have just been a really strange oversight. This is the kind of stuff that I don't think I would have ever seen otherwise. Even though it was in plain sight. Yeah, there's more here. Oh my god, yeah, what is this? There's just a hard corner here. In the middle of nowhere. This makes me believe that maybe they did put something here. Building a house or whatever, something. I mean, maybe not. It's just theory crafting, obviously. We will never know for sure. I mean, it might have also just been a mistake, but I kind of feel inclined not to believe it. Considering how many parts of the terrain, especially in Canada, look legit. So I'm not sure what this is supposed to be about here. But it really feels like it was molded to accommodate some kind of object or building or something of that sort that was then removed, but the terrain hasn't been adjusted for it again. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I was thinking there. Okay, and I think with that, I've officially made it to the end. Oh, we can actually see the quote-unquote farlands over there. It's a bit of a shame that it's nighttime. Oh, what is going on with the terrain here? Wait, what is this? Why does it look like that here? Why does the coast look like this? What is that? Not something you were ever meant to see. I think this is where I get the vibes of like, yeah, okay. We're reaching the limits here because there's so much weird stuff going on in the environment here in Mexico. And I think we can see the cutoff of the map over there. If we just look over to this side, there's actually a really... maybe it's this. I definitely want to explore this here. This could also look really interesting. I really want more people to just kind of like explore more of these areas and just find strange, bizarre places and pieces in the environment. I think like this stuff is exactly what I was talking about. Like this weird deformed terrain that is right next to the coast. It makes no sense for it to look like this. How did this happen? And you can see how spiky it looks. It's really bizarre. Oh my god, dude. There's even more terrain here. What is this, man? Wait, can I go to photo mode? Look at this. Okay, I don't think there's any way for me to reach the other side of the coast. So we're gonna have to drive all the way there again, which is gonna be a bit of a pain. Or maybe... wait, hold on. Wait, the water here is shallow. Wait, what? This is shallow water! I thought I couldn't drive over there. Wait, what? That's insane. Why is the water shallow here? It's actually not deep. That's... What? Okay. This is what I keep talking about. This is the exact kind of discoveries that I was hoping to make. Why is the water shallow? I thought it would just reset me back to the coast. This is drivable. Oh my god. Damn it. Okay, let me test if we can actually fast travel into Mexico. I think that might... I haven't tried it. I just assume that doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't seem to work here. Yeah, it's not gonna let me fast travel here. But I can fast travel at least somewhat close to the border. Yeah, it will teleport you to the other side of the border at the very least. Okay, okay, okay. So, saved myself at least some driving there. That's nice. So from here, we just want to go further down south. I mean, there's also a river that we could check out. That I think will look kind of strange as well. It's dark out, unfortunately, so we can't really see it from the map. Yeah, there's so much here. I think there's also like a pocket of water. I'm not sure what this is here. Wait, there is a lone building here. Wait, what is this? What is this? Okay, we have to check this out first. This piqued my interest way more than this weird lagoon here or whatever this is. We found a building. Wait, what was it? Oh, I found it. Okay, we have to check this out. I need to know what this is. Set waypoint. Oh, I can't fast travel close to it either. Okay, so we just have to find a way to get as close to it as possible. Okay, we can fast travel here, it seems. Okay, it's working. It's doing something. I'm not sure. We might be soft blocked here. Okay, no, okay. I think it's cooked. We have to restart the game. Okay, dude, I need to know what that is. Okay, so we're back in. We don't want to fast travel too far away. Either it's just not going to let you, or it will soft lock. So we don't want to do that. However, we want to at least get across the river here. So I'll try to fast travel here. Hope it will let me know. Okay, what we could try then, one of those checkpoints here. We can safely fast travel here. There we go. Okay. Oh, this is actually closed off here. Oh, dude, this is actually completely closed off. I can't actually leave from here. I need to reach this building, dude. I need to know what it is. Oh, I made it. Okay, this worked. This time it worked and it put me behind. Okay, now I just have to find this building again. The problem is I cannot put a fast travel marker down here, so I'm just gonna have to periodically check the map and see if I'm getting close. So we definitely want to just travel further down southeast is where we want to go here. But this is what I was talking about earlier. You can see remnants of an old river here is what this is. That has dried up. That is exactly what that is. These have to be... must have been added in manually. But they're still here all over the place. Once again, there's so much thought that was put into these inaccessible areas. Okay, so let's see. How close are we to it? It's kind of hard to see where it is. Okay, we are getting a little bit closer. We're about halfway. I think I want to drive a little bit more east. Nice stunt. That was kind of unintentional. Oh, okay. I think I went past it slightly. Okay. But we're really close. And we should be reaching it very, very shortly. This feels spooky in a way. This fits really nicely to spooky season. We're out here in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, trying to search for some kind of abandoned building. Oh, there it is. What is this? It's just geometry. It's not even a house. There's no texture on this. I'm baffled. This truly baffles me. I'm actually lost. I cannot make out what this is. From above, it seemed like a roof of a building that just wasn't really built. Now that I'm up close, I was thinking maybe a piece of highway. But I just cannot tell for sure. This could be anything. Tell me in the comments what you think this might be. What this might be for and why it is still here. Because I have not the slightest clue. What this is. This feels alien in a way. Maybe this was supposed to be like an alien battleship. Like, it's just in the middle of Mexico. In the middle of nowhere. That you'll would never really be able to reach. So now obviously the only thing left for us to do is to jump off the map. That was a lot sooner than I thought. And kind of anticlimactic. Okay. Well, I guess there you have it. This was the Crew Canada and the Crew Mexico, exploring some of the out-of-bounds areas. Now, there's still so much more you could explore. Like, for example, you could probably get to this small island here in Canada. There's so much more you could do. Like, you can see there's like some body of water up there as well. Maybe you could reach that. But I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. If you want to explore the map in any kind of way, feel free. I'll link the mod down below. If you have the game and you have the Crew Unlimited, go check it out. Go make your own discoveries. This was super cool. I love stuff like this. And if you want me to check out more racing games out of bounds, let me know. And I'll see you in the next one. Take care, take it easy, and as always, peace. See you guys.